Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Just the other week we went picking in this old farm machinery shed. It was not much of a shed, but and the stuff was pretty weathered, but we found plenty of good bits, filled the van, and now it's time to empty it, and I'll show you what we got. Okay, I've just backed up to the front of the shop. We'll unload it on the footpath here and try and put it out the back in stages. I guess it's quite a load, and as you can see, it's not a very attractive load. All sorts of stuff. There was some steel bits around the edges of the shed that we grabbed. There's an old cement mixer, nice old gate. I was pretty happy to get the gate. And that big bluey sort of reel thing was, I think, an old hose reel for an irrigation pipe or something. So we'll start dragging a few bits out and I'll show you what we got. But geez, what an ugly looking load. It was very hard to pack. Okay, first things out of the van, this great big hose reel, as I mentioned. I think it's an irrigation pipe reel. It's quite large, and the wheels are seized up. They've been in the ground a long time. The actual reel part still spins. So I don't think there's anything flash there. He just wanted it gone. I didn't allow anything for that one. I reckon we'll chain that up out the front and put 30 bucks on it. Next one's a major project. This is a sort of 1960s era outdoor setting. These were quite common, and the timber slats are often painted sort of multiple colours. This one's probably got 3 or 4 coats on it, but it's just been lying in the dirt. The timber's absolutely stuffed. But it'll be a good project. I think we can use maybe some bed frame slats on it. So that'll be a good little one to do an upcycle project on, or a renovation project. And then this little step ladder we found in underneath quite a lot of stuff. It's rather dirty, but it's undamaged, and it's not rotten. It hasn't got any wood issues as far as borers or white ants. I suspect it was probably a school project, but it's quite a nice little piece, and it'll wash up fine. It's just got enough staining and aging to have nice character. So we'll give that a wash up. We'll put that in the shop for, say, 25, no problems there. With this other one, I won't price it as such. I don't think it's really of any value how it is now, but as I said, it will make a good project and it'll be of some value down the track. We'll do a separate video on that probably. Now some more ladders. This one's quite a large step ladder, an A-frame style. It's got some issues. The strut at the bottom's come off. There would have been an angled stay there which has broken off. The whole thing's quite wobbly. But it's solid enough at the front. It is missing the bottom step, but I think I'll shorten it and just cut those struts off at the bottom. So that will then be the first step. And it's worth trying to fix it up because these big old A-frame ladders are pretty popular. So fixed up, I would imagine I'd get $50 for that, but it does require a bit of work. Now let me interrupt the flow of things for the moment. This is that ladder restored. I've fixed it up. I've actually done a video on restoring this ladder. I went to a little bit more trouble than I was going to, but now it's beautifully sturdy, very stable. As you can see, I have chopped the bottom legs down so it's a little shorter than it was. But I've done a video on this and I'll put the link up the top right hand corner now if you want to go and check out that. And I've priced this one now at 100. It's come up so good, it looks great and it's perfectly usable, and it's a great decorator piece if you want that sort of thing too. So that was a good one, but we did put a bit of work into it. Okay, back to the other things. Now this other ladder is just a pretty standard Oregon ladder. It's good. All the rungs are there. There's no damage. It's actually not wobbly at all. It's actually really good. If you're handling these things, just be aware that this Oregon timber really is bad for splinters. You always seem to get splinters off this. Because the grain's so long and straight, it's quite bad for that. But anyway, they sell really well. I'm always short on ladders. That one's probably around about 9 to 10 feet, and I would easily get 30. I'd probably put 40 on that one. And we've got a nice old gate here, nice wrought iron gate. It's a bit rusty and a little bit bent at the bottom, but it's quite solid, very usable. I'm not going to do anything to that other than perhaps just straighten this top section up. I think it's just been bent over. But I like the rusty look to it, and I'm sure someone would love that in their garden. It's a good size. I would be thinking $80 on that one. no problems at all. Alright, we're getting some more of the van unloaded. I've just dragged a few little things out that we can have a look at now. This old washing basket, or cane basket, it's not actually a washing basket, they normally have a handle each end. Really nice old vintage basket though, looks pretty solid. That'll be an awesome display piece. Very happy to pick those up. I'll hang that up in the shop, just to give it a bit of a wash out the back first. And I think that's probably a $50 basket, no problems with that. Great decorator piece. Some really nice old hinges in here. That's a massive hinge. That one's, with my hand, it's nearly 2 foot long, probably longer. It's a shame I only found the one, because they would be fantastic on a great big old barn door. But anyway, one was worth grabbing. We'd probably put $20 on that with a bit of a wash up. And there's some gate posts, some pivots. There's 4 of them. And if I was to sell them, I'd probably put 20 on the set of those, but I'll hang on to those because I may have a use for those. That one's a bit bent, but you know, easy to straighten. They're very early, so pretty happy to pick those up, but they'll probably go in my assorted junk box at home for a future project, so we won't count those as far as value goes. Some other smalls, we have some nice old timber shoe forms. I think they're for stretching shoes, or at least making shoes on, I'm not too sure. Slightly different styles, but again they'll just need a wash up. Nice decorator pieces, $10 each on those. And a nice heavy cast iron gas ring. It doesn't have a control tap on it, but it would be able to be rigged up fine. I'll put $10 on that. Someone will use that for a big yabby cooker or something. Now we have a galvanized watering can in kit form. Well, at least it is now. It looks like the solder's just let go. I think that's actually a school project one again, but I might try and solder the spout back on and the handle back on, because I'd get $20 for that, but I don't want to go to too much trouble. But it's all there. This was a good little find in a box. A really nice early 1900s sort of Federation era cast iron door lock. It's probably an American one, I think. Beautiful Art Nouveau designs on it. I did try the mechanism. It actually still works. I don't have a key. Now, I restored one of these recently, and I'll put a link for the video on the screen now. But it's this one's great. It hasn't got a nice old paint job like the one I restored did have, but that would clean up really well. But to sell that one as it is, there's no damage. If I can find a key, great. If not, I'd get $20 to $30 for that, just as it is, just with a bit of a wash. Now we have a bit of a made up item here. We've got a really old grinding stone, which has been mounted on an early treadle sewing machine base. Now, it's rather broken, unfortunately. The cast iron's very brittle on these things, and it's just snapped. Probably the weight of the wheel, it might have fallen over at some stage. But it's really only a garden ornament. But what I'm going to do is just put a piece of timber across here to support the axle of the wheel, and I might bolt a piece of timber just straight down to form another leg. It's only going to be a very rough fix up, but it'll level up the wheel. It'll look nice in the garden, and really quick repair job as far as just bolting a few old weathered bits of timber to it. And that'll be easily a $50 garden decoration. So that's pretty cool. Even though it's rather broken, it's still a nice piece. Now let me interrupt again. Here's the finished project. I changed my mind with the timber, and I found some old rusty angle iron, and it stacks better. Used some old bolts, and it even actually turns when you crank it. So pretty happy with that. I stuck $100 on it, and it's actually sold already. It was out the front of the shop for 3 days. So that was a good little project, and I've done a video on that one, and I'll put the link in the top right hand corner for you to go and have a look at that as well. Okay, back to the appraisals. I'll get a bit more out of the van tomorrow, just doing bits at a time in between other jobs. Still a bit to go. We need to get that cement mixer out next. So a slight change of plan. We got this old bench seat out next, and I've taken it home. So this is the front veranda at home. It's a really nice old design on the cast iron ends. I don't think it's an old piece. It could be 30, 40 years old, but it's certainly not antique. But it's old enough to have weathered quite a lot, and the timber slats, as you see there, are past their use by. But this one I've handballed to Christine. She's going to do a restoration project on it, and it will feature on her channel, Christine's Home Affairs, and I'll link her channel in the description of this video. And when she has a video up of this project, I'll put a link in here. So let's write down a value of 50 for the ends, and Christine can take it and put it on her list of projects to do, because my list is long enough. Back at the shop now to get some more stuff out of the van, and you can tell I'm back at the shop by the traffic noise in the background. So what have we got out of the van? Well, we finally got the cement mixer out, and it's not in bad condition. The bowl's not rusted out. It has an electric motor on it, and I actually just did plug it in and it works. It's a little squeaky and it needs a little bit of maintenance, but it's a complete unit, and I've seen them sell for around about 200 or so, and given this one actually works and it's a better quality one than Chinese ones you buy these days, I'm going to put $200 on that, and I'll chain it up there until it sells. And I've just dragged these two probably 1980s era racing bikes. They're both Peugeot. I don't know much about bikes. I know that the right brands tend to be sought after, and even parts can go really well. Now, you saw the shed, so you can imagine they're not in the best condition. The tyres are stuffed, there's a bit of surface rust, but they roll alright, and I think they'd be easy restorers. This one's a little bit faded, more faded than the front one. I did a quick eBay check, and some of them actually made quite a few $100s. One very rusty project, one only made 20 bucks. So I'm going to put 100 on that one and hang it up inside the shop. And I think I'll put 50 on that one and hang that one up. It's still got a chain and a padlock I'll have to cut off. But they'll look good in the shop, and a cycle enthusiast will hopefully see some value in them. What else did we get? I grabbed a couple of old disc plough discs. A lot of these used to go for scrap metal, but they sell really, really well. They make great bases if someone's making a bar stool type thing with an old tractor seat. But I mostly sell them for people that have open fireplaces, and they put them at the back of the fireplace, and it tends to reflect the heat out, so they work as kind of a reflector. They're thick enough that they don't burn out for a long time, and I'll get $10 each for those. Now, I also got this, it's actually stainless steel. It's part of a huge flue system or something or other. I didn't really want it, but the guy sort of said, please take it. He was trying to declutter and he couldn't be bothered doing a load of scrap. It's stainless steel. It only weighs about 4 kilos, so it's not worth much for scrap. But some camper will buy it as a fire pit, so I'll probably put 10 on that one. Another thing the guy didn't want to leave there, in fact he threatened to throw it on the bonfire unless I took it. Beautiful old pine door. It's obviously lost the top two panels. Maybe it had glass sections in there, I'm not too sure. But fantastic old timber. I'm not sure if I'll sell it as a door or actually use the timber for something. It has got a nice old lock on it too. So if I was to sell it as it is, I'd probably put $20 on it. And someone can buy it for the timber, but I might even knock that apart and use the timber for something. Such a nice grain in that old pine. Now, we'll keep scanning along. There was these cast iron pieces. They're actually water tap covers or valve covers, and they lift up. They would have been used in perhaps a concrete slab to have a water fitting accessible. I don't know what they're worth. I think you can probably still buy them new. I might put $20 on the lot just to move them on. A whole heap of old tiles. Some really nice designs in some of these. I did actually price this one. There was only the one of these. Would have been nice to have a set of 6. They're probably off a wash stand. So I put 10 on that one, as you can see. The rest of them are mostly the same design. Probably would have been around a fireplace or something. I'll just put $20 on all those. Someone will buy them for mosaics work or something. Now, an old a saddle, and it's sitting on a sawhorse, so it's kind of cool that there's a saddle on the horse. I don't know much about saddles. It appears to be in good condition. I can't see any issues with it. There's a little bit of bird droppings, but other than that, the stitching seems okay. The leather's actually not that hard or brittle. I might have to get someone who knows about horse saddles, because I know some of them are very expensive, so I might get that one appraised before I actually put a price on it. But with it, if I can't find out anything, I'm just going to put $50 on it, but I would expect that it might make a bit more. But we'll write it down at 50 for now. The sawhorse that it's sitting on is probably a school project again, but it's a nice solid one, it's well made. We'll put 10 bucks on that. And a little bit of harness, there's a horse bit, some reins, I'll hang them up for $5 a lot. These rolls of galvanised chicken wire are also in the shed. Been lying in the dirt, but it's not a problem as they're well galvanised, it hasn't rusted, and they're not super old anyway. The original paper label was there. So that's a brand new roll, unused. I think it'd be 50 metres. I think it's a standard roll size in this, and this one's obviously had some of it used. Now I did check a price, I think it's about $75 per roll at one of the big hardware chains in Australia. So if we make that $50 the pair, someone will be getting good value. Certainly nothing wrong with it, and it'd be good for building chook yards or large bird aviaries or something like that, or even fencing. So 50 bucks on the pair there. And one of the things I liked a lot about this deal was saving all these old doors from the bonfire, because the guy would have burnt them. I think he was going to offer some of the stuff to a neighbour, but whatever wasn't taken had to be got rid of, and he had a big bonfire going. So that's a really heavy solid one there. That one's got ply on the front, it doesn't look much from there, but it's a nice door from the back, and it's very well made. It's quite heavy and dirty. As you can see, it's an early 4-panel, and it's much heavier duty than an internal door. It would have been a front door or a back door. So through the magic of video, give us a second and I'll clean them all up and I'll show you again. There you go, that didn't take long, all swept down. This one's a very solid door, extremely heavy. The lock's nothing special, it's probably the original lock, but it's got a pad bolt on it. And this is the original doorbell, so I'm guessing it was a front door. So, and still rings. So that's pretty cool. Value on that door, well, I reckon I'd put 100 on it. The doorbell alone, I think I'd get 20 or 30 if I could be bothered taking it off. So we'll leave it all complete. We'll put 100 bucks on that door. It's going to last for a long time. I could even leave it out the side lane in the weather and it would last for a long time, but I probably won't do that. Now this door, beautiful green, I love this. It's such an awesome finish. And that's the good side. The other side was that splintered pine that we saw, and I took it off, and unfortunately someone has taken off all the little architrave pieces around the squares, and there would have been a doorbell in the middle as well. But nevertheless, the door is still complete. It's undamaged. Well, it's complete other than that trim. It's undamaged, and from this side the green looks fabulous. So I'm going to put 50 on that one. It's a good size door as well. It's quite heavy. So yeah, we'll go 50 bucks on that one. This white one here is pretty much the same both sides. The door handles have been broken off. It's 1940s era. It'll probably be nice timber under there, but it's got a really thick coat of white enamel on it. You can see from the key escutcheon there, it's very Art Deco. The doorknobs have been smashed, but it's possibly, oh, it wouldn't be an internal, it'd probably be a external door with the key lock in it. Maybe internal, but anyway, it's 1940s or so, and I think I'll probably just put 20 or 30 on that one. We might go 30 and see how we go. And this last one's my favourite. It looks like it's never been painted. It's possibly an internal door, and it would be red pine, I think. Fabulous, fabulous timber. I love it. There's not a knot to be seen. Awesome grain. It's got a little bit of water staining, but there's really no knots in the timber. Lovely grain in that top panel. The other side's just as nice. Original door, hardware. It would probably be 1930s, I'd guess. So look, that one, I'm going to put 100 on that one as well. It's a good size door. It's nice and wide. It probably was a front door, or not too sure. Could be an internal, I don't know. But good quality, very happy with that. We'll put 100 on that as well. So the last few things out of the van from this deal, you may have spotted these barrels, or at least one of them in the original photo. Wine barrels are always popular. Some people cut them in half for planters, others use them as tables in bars or on a private deck. In fact, I have a couple at the front of my shop that have been here ever since I've been here. So I think the going price for these barrels is around about 150 each. I did check eBay, and there's a few guys like landscape places that probably ask a bit more. I'm going to put 150 each on them. And the last thing, actually before I go to that old stove, there's a couple of little things. The door lock that I got off one of the doors, I'll just put $5 on that. The old tap, it's a nice chromed one, it'll clean up really well. Probably get 10 for that. This little burner, it's nickel plated, probably brass. I don't think it's a lamp, it's probably just more a burner, like to go under a spirit kettle or something, just to burn metho. I'm not going to go to too much trouble cleaning it up. In fact, I'll sell it like it is. $5 on that one, and $5 on these pair of ratchet wire strainers, fence strainers. You can probably still buy those new nowadays, but I grab that sort of stuff because it fills up the bloke's room and it sells quite well. Last of all, the heaviest thing of the lot, I put a couple of ramps at the back of the van and let it slide down. I've cleaned it all out. There was probably a couple of kilos of dirt come out of it, and gum leaves, and there was a bit of a nest in there from mice or something. It's not in the best condition, but it's a beautiful looking old stove. It'd be early 1900s. The oven door still works nicely, but there's bottom sections are rusted out. There's cracks to some of the cast iron. Some of the bits are missing, I think, although the main doors all seem to be there. So it's a long way off usable, particularly because I rolled it over and the base of it's quite rusty, and there's a few cracks around the cast iron framework. So I've put it down my side lane, as you can see, and I've got it lifted up off the boards here so it doesn't stay wet for long. If it does get wet, I'll probably put a tarp over it for now. But as for value, I've done a bit of checking. I think the parts are going to be of some value. To the right person, it's probably restorable. So look, for the sake of putting a figure on it, I'm going to say a couple of $100. But what I'll probably do is, I think once the pandemic eases off a bit and we can have interstate travellers again, because they've just locked down the borders currently here, I think I'll probably put it on eBay, and I'll start it at a couple of $100 and see how we go. So the price on that's a bit up in the air. Fully operational condition, it could bring up to $1,000, but as I said, it's very rough. So that's what we'll put at that, a couple of $100 for now, with the potential to do more if we put it on eBay. And that's the end of our appraisals for this deal. So let's have a look through the notepad. Pretty well the prices, as I've mentioned. There was no price for that setting because it's going to be a project. The ladder I did put a bit of time into, and I've mentioned there's another video on that one. Now quite a lot of these sold, and let's go through them as we go. The hose reel sold, the small step ladder sold, the wrought iron gate has sold. Where else are we? Those pins, I've got to use for those at home, those pivot pins. I've still got to repair the watering can. The repaired grinding stone wheel has sold. The bench seat will be a long-term project, and Christine's going to tackle that one, so we'll link that one when she gets it done. I've got a pretty serious inquiry on the cement mixer, but it's still here at this stage. The plough discs have sold. That fire pit sold, and this is all within a week. And to save you straining your eyes, let's go down to the total. Just over $2,000. Who would have thought a van full of what looked like junk can make a couple of grand? The doors I've only priced in the last few days. I have sold the tiles. The saddle, I did some checking on that. Apparently it's a cheaper Indian style saddle which were available new about 20-30 years ago for about $200. I'll get $50 for an ornament for it, but the advice I had was it's not good to sell as a saddle because they're not the best for horses. They're made fairly cheaply, I believe. What else have we sold? Anything else? All the doors have only just been put out. The barrels I've only had out for one day, and I've got a couple of people going to get back to me. So yeah, that's what was sold at the moment. And the stove, I'm actually going to wait. It's under a tarp out of the weather, and I am going to put that on eBay because I've had a few offers. A couple of guys messaged me about it and offered 300 up front without even looking at it, so that could go quite well. But anyway, couple of grand return, a morning's work picking it up, quite a lot of work repairing a couple of things, so we do put a lot of hours into these jobs. And also I washed things up. All the doors were swept down, the tiles I did wash all up because they were filthy dirty and they smelt like mice. So we do put a bit of time into our deals, but really we got a whole van load of stuff from a guy that was pretty much going to throw it out or scrap metal or burn a lot of it. We gave him a fair wad of cash. He was happy with it. We've made a really good margin, and we've got some pretty cool stuff in our shops and kept it out of landfill. So that's what we like to do. We enjoy our jobs, and hope you enjoy the appraisals. Okay, see you in the next video.